Okay, everybody, welcome back. Welcome back. It is Wednesday, almost a Friday. It is Wednesday, and on Wednesdays we are live. So welcome back, and thank you to everybody that tunes in every single week. If you've not been in before, and this is your first time joining the RHT Buyer Academy, I almost said Buyer Network, but if this is your first time catching us on the RHT Buyer Academy, then welcome. What we do here is we spend a little time every single week to educate you, make you smarter, stronger, and more confident home buyers. Today, what I want to talk to you guys about is common home buyer mistakes that you make, that home buyers make once they're already under contract. If this music is too loud, please let me know. I don't want it to be too loud for you guys. I can't tell on my end if it's too loud. So let's get started real fast. All righty, here we go, everybody. So can everybody see? Okay, awesome. If you need to contact us directly, our email address is at the bottom of the screen. It's info@reynoldshometeam.com. Before we get started, I did want to talk to you guys about something very, very important and close to our team's hearts, which is the work that we do in our community and what we do for our community. And you may or may not have noticed I'm wearing our Red Day shirt. It is Red Day. Tomorrow, RHT will be at the Tom Thumb over off of Root and Orange and 1171 Main Street, Cross Timbers, whatever you want to call it. We're going to be right across from the Bridlewood Golf Course. There's a Tom Thumb right there in that little outlet. We're going to be there from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. There will be representatives on our team there in that 4-hour span. So please come out. We're collecting canned goods, any basically non-perishables, hygiene products, anything like that we can donate. So please stop on by. We'll have a table actually set up in the entrance. So tomorrow is Red Day. If you can take a few minutes and stop by while you're doing your grocery shopping, take a couple extra minutes and go to the Tom Thumb over off of Root and Orange and 1171 and stop in CRHT and drop off a couple extra cans or boxes or hygiene products for people that are in need in our area. So that is my little public service announcement and request from you guys. Let's move on to our common home buyer mistakes. So what I want to talk about today are things that people really need to avoid when you're already under contract. We've talked about things to do and things to avoid when preparing to get approved, when preparing to buy a home. This is what I want you to avoid, what we want you to avoid, and what other real estate professionals will want you to avoid as you're going through the process to make it easier on everybody. So let's take a look here. Went right over into right in my face. Okay, here we go. It does it every time. I haven't mastered that yet. So here are a couple things that I want to talk about. First thing, what I want you to avoid is skipping on your home inspection. We've talked about why you need to get a home inspection before. We've talked about why it's important to find out what's going on with the home, age of the roof, age of, HVAC, water heater, things like that, whether there was foundation work done, if it needs foundation work done. Because remember, guys, we're in Texas. It's not an if, it's a when your home needs foundation repair. So here are our pitfalls with skipping on a home inspection. First thing that we're going to talk about is you're going to miss potential issues. If you don't get a home inspection, you're walking in blindly. Unless you know what's wrong with the home, which unless you're a home inspector by profession, you don't know walking in blindly. There may be apparent things like maybe cracks in the ceiling, nail pops. There may be exposed wiring, very obvious things that we can attempt to address in our repair negotiations. But with a home inspection, it does put up any red flags, and it also opens the window for you to bring in, I almost said inspectors, experts in that field. So if you see a red flag for the electric, maybe there's exposed wires, maybe they saw some red flags in the power box, then maybe they can come out and have an electrician come out. It'll cost you a little extra, but I think it's well worth the peace of mind. Another thing to worry about, if you do not get a home inspection, you do not negotiate any repairs or any cash towards repairs, you are likely to encounter unexpected repair costs down the road. Whether that is, maybe we've got some wood rot around some of the windows or around the patio. Maybe it's the foundation is wrecked and it needs to be lifted. And maybe you need to have a structural engineer come out and look at it. Maybe you need to have a foundation team come out and put in piers. It's scary to not know what's going on, especially when you're purchasing a home. This is one of the most expensive investments that you will make. It is one of the best investments that you will make because you are building equity and you are building your future. But you want to make sure that you protect yourself. And unexpected repair costs may not seem like a huge deal, but if we put it in larger terms, we need to talk about our insurance. If the roof is shot and it's not insurable, you may not know that until you've already purchased the home and now you're struggling to get insurance because the roof is too old. So now you either need to replace the roof and shell out the cash for that, or come up with a solution to make sure that you are insurable. Some of those things, if you didn't get an inspection and there were no red flags and you had no idea and no way to know, you won't know until it's too late. It could make your insurance costs go up. Another thing that could happen is if the repairs are extensive enough or there are things that are bad enough, like we talk about the main items, roof, foundation, electric, and plumbing. If you're going FHA, there are going to be some requirements on the home's condition. And if the home doesn't meet condition, the home will not meet approval for the lender and you cannot close on that home. Even if you have perfect credit, you have more than enough in down payment. If you've chosen to go FHA and you've chosen to use that loan program, even with conventional, there can be loopholes that you need to meet and conditions that you need to meet. If the home itself on our third party financing addendum says that the home must be approved, home approval, property approval, then the home must be approved. And if you're skipping on the home inspection, you're going into that blindly and you may not know until you get close to the closing table. You've already paid for your earnest, your option, you're out of your option window. So you've walked away from possibly getting your earnest back, depending on other outs within the contract. You paid for an appraisal, things like that you can't get back. So I think starting out in your option period with a home inspection is the best way to make sure that you're in a best case scenario for your negotiations, but also for home ownership. I don't want my insurance costs to go up. I don't want to be uninsurable, certainly. So that is my first one. It is not required to get a home inspection, but it is highly recommended. We always recommend. Oh, Spotify went with some old Justin Bieber there. So I recommend it. The team is going to recommend it. It's not required. We're not going to force you to get a home inspection. But if you don't get a home inspection, there are a lot of things that could pop up after the fact that could affect your affordability in the home because you're having to do extensive repairs after you've moved in. It could halt closing altogether. You may not be able to get insurance on the home. And that could also affect you closing on the home as well. So these are things that I want you to think about when you're thinking about a home inspection. It is not simply a quick home inspection for them to give you red flags and move on. This is a building block of your contract and of your negotiations moving forward. So I think once you are under contract, the first thing to do, once we have indication that we are going to be going under contract, I would recommend calling home inspection companies, and we'll give you a couple different options so that way you can see what different home inspection programs they have and option packages they have and see what you want to do. If you know it's a little bit older of a home, you may want to have the pipes scoped. You may want to have more in-depth inspections done than a general inspection. And those are options that different inspectors offer. If you're going new construction, it's also important to think about a phased inspection. And I didn't write this in here, but if you're going new construction, they haven't broken ground yet, a phased inspection is important. You want to make sure those cable tension cords are tight. You want to make sure everything is checked every stage before they lay the foundation, before they put up the walls, before they put in the insulation, before they put on the plumbing and the electric. You want to make sure that you're checking on those things because just because it's new doesn't mean that it's perfect. Humans are imperfect. Sorry. So that's my first bit of advice. Don't skip on your home inspection. Again, it's not required. It's just very highly recommended. Number 2, financing. Please just say no. Your lender will beg you. Title will probably remind you. I will remind you, certainly. There's nothing that gives me more of a heart attack than when you get a text or call from your buyer while they're under contract and they're like, oh, we're at a car dealership, or oh, we're at Rooms to Go and we're thinking about getting some stuff. Please don't finance anything. Let me open this real fast. Please don't finance anything. First off, it could change your affordability. It could change what you can afford month to month and cause a financial strain, even if you continue through the approval process and you meet approval standards. But a huge risk that you run is no longer getting approved for the home because your DTI has gone up. Let's say you go out and you buy a new car. That is a big expense. That is a big loan. That is certainly going to change your debt to income depending on what that monthly payment looks like for your auto loan. Furniture, anything that where they say we can finance it, I want you to put your hand down and I want to say, no, thank you. I will wait until after I purchase my home because my realtor and my lender will be very upset at me. Use us as the bad guy. That's fine. You know, we're working towards buying our first home, and I go into Old Navy and Ulta, JCPenney's, wherever I go, Target, and they ask you, do you want to get a Ulta credit card? Do you want to get a Old Navy credit card? Of course I do. Of course I want to get a new credit card, but I don't, because we are working on our finances. We are working on getting ready to purchase a house. And when you are under contract, you could completely blow the deal for yourself. You could go and purchase a car or put, this is music, finance furniture, all new bed sets, everything like that, washers and dryers at Home Depot, everything that you're going to need for this new home. And then you knock yourself out of affordability because your DTI has gone up and the lender says, look, you can no longer afford to buy this home, because they're going to run the numbers again. They're going to make sure that you're still on approval standards. They're going to make sure that your debt to income is good, that your credit is good. It's going to hit your credit. If you get any sort of new financing, it is going to hit your credit. And every time that hits your credit, it's going to affect your credit score. It's for a very limited time, but it will still affect your credit score. And it can have a huge effect on whether or not you can get approved for your home. So please do not finance anything when you are under contract. It could make the whole process stop for you. And I would hate that for you, because I know that if home ownership is one of your goals, it's been one of your goals for a while. And if it all gets blown up because of a new car or new washer and dryer set, I bought a new riding lawnmower and I financed it at Lowe's, whatever it is, please just wait. And then go from there after you've purchased the home and you've closed. I think it will be for your best interest. And I think that if you talk to lenders, they'll probably agree. Unless you're buying the house in cash, and then you don't have to worry about a lender anyways. So it doesn't affect you. Here's another big one: cost of home ownership. We have a lot of people going from renters to homeowners. And if you're going from an apartment to a home, there's a change in probably what you're paying month to month for just your cost of your mortgage versus the cost of your rent. That could fluctuate depending on your affordability, your credit, the price point that you landed at. Really, that's going to be determined once the contract is written, because that's just how that's going to work. Another thing, we talked about POAs last week. I'm sorry, we talked about that 2 weeks ago. Property owners associations, that could affect your expenses and your monthly affordability. If you have a homeowners association, if their costs are monthly, semi-annually, annually, whatever it is, you need to make sure that you're paying attention to that. Any PIDs, any MUDs, those need to be disclosed. But while you're under contract, you want to make sure that you're evaluating these things, especially in your option period. During your option period, you can back out for whatever reason. So run the numbers. They've given you PID disclosures. They've given you HOA information, at least how much it's going to cost for your monthly, annual dues, whatever those are. Another thing to think about for a lot of people is utility costs. If you're going from an apartment, you may be going from an area that is somewhere between 6 to 1,500 square feet, maybe up to 2,000 square feet in an apartment. And then maybe you're jumping from that to maybe a 15 to 3,000 square foot home, somewhere in that range. the bigger that area gets, the more your utilities are going to cost. So if you want a utility cost analysis or data sheet, we have connections with utility concierge that can actually pull that data for us and let us know what areas and what zip codes average in cost, and it will kind of help you determine electricity, water, gas, things like that. Usually your your internet, phone bill, things like that are usually going to stay the same, unless that area just is priced out differently or you have to go to a different company. But it's something to absolutely think about to make sure that you're not pricing yourself out, because a lot of people don't think about these extra things. You're thinking about your mortgage payment, your mortgage payment, your mortgage payment. And a lot of people think, okay, I can afford that mortgage. That's no big deal. Okay, but let's add everything else in. You've got your mortgage. Also, property taxes. As a renter, that's new to you. That's also brings me to the escrow conversation. If you are not great with saving that money year to year for taxes and insurance and things like that, talk to a lender about escrowing your taxes and insurance so that you can have your PITI all set up and you're escrowing that payment, or you're paying that with your mortgage payment and escrowing that into an account. So when taxes and insurance come around, you've got something saved up for it. And if that rate fluctuates, then you've at least got a pocket to cover a majority of it, and hopefully all of it, if it works out the way it's supposed to. So that is what I always make sure people understand, is that homeownership costs are going to fluctuate from renter costs. So make sure that we're looking at these things. Make sure that we're not just going in blindly. We want to make sure that we're reviewing these things. If you're going new construction, you may be looking at MUDs and PIDs. And these are things that could change your affordability month to month. So again, things to evaluate while you're under contract, things that we can make sure to write into the contract to protect you if there are certain things that you intend for your property to be used for. And maybe the HOA doesn't allow that, but I want you to focus on the cost of ownership, because that can stress you out once you get closer to the closing table and you realize, oh my gosh, I didn't even think about all of this. You may be able to afford it, but it may cause a strain on your household financially. So it's something that we just want people to be conscientious of. Last one, we have been in what we have called a seller's market for a while. And I'm not just talking about COVID. We've been in a seller's market for years, past COVID, beyond COVID. And because of that, a lot of people fail to negotiate. They think it's a seller's market. There's really nothing I can do. I just need to give them the best offer I absolutely can. And there was a point in our market where it was extremely competitive. We were seeing 50, 100 offers on a house within a couple of days. Right now, as of last week, the statistics came out for the month prior. As of last month, 28% of homes went under contract in multiple offers or over asking price. Absolutely, it's a competitive market, but that means 72% of homes did not. So make sure that you are negotiating. Make sure that you are not just throwing your hands up and giving them everything and saying, that's it. You can have everything, even my firstborn, and all of my family heirlooms. I'm not saying that it's not a competitive market, but overall, a majority of homes are not in that same scenario. I think that if you are someone who's been thinking about selling your home and that's what's been holding you back, I have nowhere to go. If I sell my home, I'm going to have to write 50 offers. I don't think that is the case if you are writing smart and strategic offers and competitive offers in this market. If you've got full pre-approvals and you are partnering with smart and creative lenders, I think that it's possible to go under contract quickly. Do I think that it's likely that you will see a multiple offer situation? I think it's absolutely possible, but not always. So please make sure you are negotiating. You do not have to throw your hands up. So here are things that we can negotiate for. There are things within the initial contract. Who's paying title? Who's paying survey? If there is an HOA, who's paying the HOA transfer fees? If there are any seller concessions that you want to ask for off the bat. Anything like that. Sales price is negotiable. Everything that's in that contract is negotiable. So once you're under contract, though, what we want to talk about is repairs. You can ask for repairs. we'll be very specific. We want to be very, very specific on what we're asking. I just realized what time it is. I'm so sorry I'm taking so long. I'm going to wrap this up. This is my last section. Repairs. You can ask for repairs. Absolutely. You'll know that you'll move into a home that is ready to go. If you ask for cash in lieu of repairs to do those repairs, you get an extra benefit of choosing that contractor and knowing that the work is handled well because you're using people that you know, like, and trust. So that's one benefit of asking for cash in a seller concession. Title and survey, I don't know why I put that on there. That's decided once before you're under contract. That was a typo. I apologize. But for seller concessions, something else that you could use it for is a rate buy down. You can negotiate a price reduction, and that could save you a little bit of money month to month. But I was actually on a call the other day with a lender who ran the figures on a $400,000 home in DFW, and asking for, I believe it was 2%, towards a price reduction, saved them, I think it was about $100 a month, and asking for that same amount in a price reduction. I'm sorry, not a price reduction, in a rate buy down, actually saved them hundreds of dollars a month. I think the figure came out to close to $400 to $500 a month that it saved them. So it can help in affordability to ask for the right rate buy down as well. So there are avenues to save money. And I do want to remind you that just because we are in a seller's market does not mean that you don't get to negotiate. This is a fair market. We want to make sure that you get fair negotiations. And if something is important to you, we need to bring it to the table. If we can't make the deal work and both parties cannot agree, then both parties cannot agree. But you don't have to roll over and give away everything that you have. These are just some food for thought of a couple of things that we just recommend that you don't do when you are under contract. I hope that you guys found this helpful. Let me go back to Facebook. I did not check for messages this entire time. I have comments. You can't hear the music, just my beautiful voice. Well, thank you so much. We were singing it at networking today. Papa, can you hear me? So we were singing. That was fun. So I'm glad Stephanie got to hear that twice today. I don't think we have any questions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap this up. Reminder of Red Day tomorrow. Please stop by the Tom Thumb on Bruton Orend and Cross Timbers between 10 and 2. And expect to see this posted in our HT Buyer Academy. I will also be putting out a blog, and we'll be adding this to YouTube as well. So if you know people that aren't in the Academy or are not on Facebook, and don't do social media, send them the YouTube link. I will put a link to the YouTube and a description for that video on our page once I get that finalized. So expect that probably early tomorrow. I'm hoping end of day today, but most likely tomorrow morning. So that is everything I have. Thank you so much for everybody that stops in every single week. If you have questions or you're ready to schedule a 15-minute Zoom to talk about your home buyer goals, please reach out to me. You can reach me at Megan@ReynoldsHomeTeam.com. But if you send it to info@, everybody in the team gets that. So all three of us will see that. That is all I have. Have a great week. We'll see you soon. Bye.